The shadows, I don't know. But it's fun to do the voice, like, Alan, wake. Wake. Alan, wake. I'm drowning. Hey, YouTube. Welcome to the spoiler discussion of Alan Wake 2. This is just going to be more casual. I'm just here. I'm just chatting and just talking about things I liked about the game that I couldn't talk about in the review. And first of all, I mean, obviously, I kept alluding to it in the review. The musical part was just so crazy. Like, I would literally have to videotape it and send it to my friends. It was like the FMV, first of all, is just so great in this game and in all Remedy Entertainment games. But like the graphic, like I'm such a graphic snob, as I mentioned in the video, and like the video looks so crisp and good in that scene, and like the lights coming out of it, oh my god, that scene was just so cool. And then you had like, it was like meta on meta on meta. You had the like it said enemies on the floor and it pointed to them, and the fact that that's the first time you have the flare gun, and it was such an amazing gun that of course I then used all my ammo for it in that level, and then I hardly had any ammo for the rest of the game. But yeah, man, that musical part was so cool, and that was my favorite part of the Alan Wake sections, honestly, was the just like all the bizarre stuff, like the fact that he was in that talk show, and the fact that I totally recognized the host from something. I don't even know from what. I should have looked this up first, but yeah, I recognized him from other stuff. Like, what a good actor. And yeah, I just really loved all that stuff. And also just the music in the game was actually phenomenal. I mean, the inter-chapter breaks, I actually like sat there listening to the songs. Let's listen to one. This was my favorite one. Wide Awake. Ready? Here, sing along with me if you want.
I was calling you. Did you hear me? I lost my way. Lost my way. I was trapped in 1,000 nights with no escape. Nightmares taking me over. And now I'm wide awake. And now I'm wide awake.
Amazing. What a hook. The nightmare's not over, though. So good, right? And like, I mean, the nightmare's not over because like it ended on a cliffhanger. And that's the thing about games ending on a cliffhanger is now, do we have to wait 12 years for the next one? I hope not. I hope that now they have enough like clout with this IP that they can just come out with a new one, like in let's say 3 years, 5 years maybe. And another song I loved in it was this one. It's called Poe. This road. Just dripping with style. I'm noticing my pumpkin. I have to throw that out. It's Christmas. I need a Christmas tree. Mm. So good. And now we know it's not a loop. It's a spiral. And I guess we can assume that means... I hope it's a spiral upwards. Because if it's downwards, then it's just going to keep getting worse. And we don't want things to get worse for Alan. I mean, he didn't deserve this. All right, so... Let's see. What do we got here? Yeah. So in addition to my review, I don't know, there was a couple things I didn't mention, like the cult stashes. Like I was looking at the cult stashes. There was the lunch boxes. The cult stashes I enjoyed finding. I have to admit I did not. I couldn't do the math. I feel like I'm good at algebra, but I failed at the math problems. But I did feel like the cult stashes, it was like in order to get to the cult stashes, they were always surrounded by enemies. So you would waste all your ammo killing the enemies. Then you would get the ammo inside the cult stash and then have no more ammo anymore. So it was like kind of a wash every time. But actually, one of my favorite revelations from the game was the character of Rose. And it's funny because Starfield has a fan character too, like your biggest fan or whatever. And Rose is kind of your biggest fan. And I love that it turned out to be her writing all those messages to you. And I love when she was so like, she was so ambiguous to you for so long. And like that opening when she like just talking to her and she's like, "No, silly, like she drowned," you know. That was such a great moment. And my favorite part though was when you acknowledge to her that you're the hero, and she totally turns. She's like, oh, and then she's talking to you. Like, she was really good. Her motion capture actress was fantastic. All the motion capture was really good, but her like emotions and stuff.
Wake has returned.
Oh my God. You're the hero! You're here to save Alan!
And I had just come off of playing Starfield, which has awful characters with terrible dialogue that you don't care about. But in this game, I really cared. I really did. But what else do I have here? Oh, yeah, loading times. I don't think I talked about loading times, but they were so long. I'm on a PC, and I have an NVMe SSD, Gen 4, yada, yada, and it took so long to load. And it was especially annoying in the very end with the Deerfest chapter, because there was that whole section where you get killed instantly as you're trying to escape the people. And I would just run into someone, get killed instantly, and then have to wait a full minute for the game to load again. And then I would have to go back, get killed in 6 seconds, load for another minute, get killed in 6 seconds, load. It took me like 5 tries to get out. And that was pretty annoying. And also I noticed I just watched Mulholland Drive. And honestly, you guys, if you're playing Alan Wake 2, you know David Lynch, and you probably like David Lynch. And Mulholland Drive is one of my favorite movies. And I noticed Saga sounded kind of like Naomi Watts, because they're both doing an American accent. I could totally hear her accent coming through a lot, especially towards the end. I forget the exact line, but there was one line where she was just totally in her accent. But she sounded like Naomi Watts. And I know Naomi Watts is from either Australia or New Zealand, but she sounded exactly like her. And I know Saga, the actress playing Saga, is British. So, but yeah, they work on your accent, girl. Work on your accent. Yeah, and Saga, the whole thing with Saga's daughter, oh my God, that was a genius twist. And it made sense for Alan too. It's like a genius twist, and also Alan is creating this story. And so an author of a story would do that in order to raise the stakes for the hero of the book. So it made sense, like that Alan was writing her character. Like, she was in there to just solve a case, but he needed her to go all in on this case. And the only way for her to go all in on it was to write her family into it and make it so that her family was at stake too. So that meant that she would try extra hard to get Alan out of it. But at the same time, it makes for a really compelling story in the book and in the game. Like, it was really, that was one of my favorite parts. I really loved that. And again, I had just finished playing Starfield, and Starfield had no stakes at all in the whole game. So I was really appreciative of that in this game here. Oh, and again, you guys must be David Lynch fans. I'm a huge David Lynch fan. And I loved when the mind place turned on her. That was so cool. Like, when she was in her mind space, and it was just giving her all this doubt. She was doubting everything. And it honestly felt, it really affected me in a good way. Because, we all have doubt, and Saga Anderson is this, fantastic FBI agent who you'd think wouldn't have this kind of doubt. And it was kind of heartening to see her go through all that, because, we all go through that. And that's what a good story does. It makes you see the hero of something go through the same things you're going through. So the fact that they can get through it means that maybe you can get through it too. I thought that was really, really great. And I just love when a game fucks with the UI to go through that psychological stuff. Like, all the UI was turning on her and all this kind of stuff. The first game I ever played to do that was Phantasmagoria 2. Really old game. I mentioned Phantasmagoria 1 in my review, but it was a full motion video game from 1996. And it really did the psychological horror. Like, you would be typing on a computer, and the words would turn into hell or scary words. But I love when games do that. I've never played Eternal Darkness. I know Eternal Darkness does the same thing. But if you guys know any other games that you really like that do that, let me know, because I'm a big fan of when the game itself kind of becomes part of the psychological horror. You know what else did it? Was Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty from ages ago. Near the end of the game, your codec starts, the people who you've been talking to the whole game start to turn on you. You don't know if you're you. It's really cool. I love that kind of stuff, which is probably a big reason why I love Alan Wake too. Tor and Odin. I loved Tor and Odin. I thought they were fantastic. They were really fun characters. They really grew on me. because I'm like, oh, rolling my eyes, like rockers. But then they actually turned out to have this amazing depth. What else do we got? Oh, okay. So story-wise, yeah. So Scratch turns out to be Alan, which I think I saw coming. I don't know. Did you guys see that coming? Because like you saw him scratching stuff out. And they probably were trying to telegraph that to us. But you saw him scratching stuff up and out, and I was like, oh, okay. So correct me if I'm wrong, but so Alan is like his normal self. He goes through his whole mind space thing, his loop. He keeps trying to find his wife. Then his wife, he sees her kill himself. He sees her kill herself, which fills him with so much rage that he goes in and kills himself because he thinks that the person he's killing is Scratch, but it's actually himself writing the story, and in so doing, the darkness overtakes him and he becomes Scratch. Right? I think that's how it goes. And him scratching stuff out wasn't malicious or bad, but was trying to help the story, but it's just he knew stuff later on. I think that's what it was. Let me know in the comments if I'm totally wrong on that, but that's what I think it was. And again, what a great story this game has. Such a great story. Like, you're an FBI agent. You go to a small town of Bright Falls, and you find manuscript pages describing what's going on, and then you find out that the manuscript pages can change reality, and then they start changing your reality. And then it's like walking in on her daughter's room in her supposed trailer. That was like, it was really, really, really cool. And then how much it like charged her up was really great. Although I'm still confused as to whether or not she actually did grow up there. Something else that was cool was that the Cult of the Word turned out to actually be good guys. I didn't see that one coming. Because they were trying to protect the people from the Taken. Yeah. That was awesome. And so it turned out those guys who you thought were good guys were good guys. Yeah, the game like did a really good job of subverting my expectations in a lot of ways. But again, like I said in the review, I know it's I don't want to hate on the Alan sections too much. But I did have less fun in them. I don't know why they let us change between them at will. I think I would have rather they just forced me to play it in order. Because then I had to like actively choose to like disconnect myself from Saga's story, which was the one I was much more invested in. But again, it was like two really great stories that were, and one I definitely preferred. And like I said in the review, it's like choosing between two flavors of ice cream. You know, it's like neither one is bad, but I just liked another one a lot more. Because yeah, the story in Alan's was kind of, it didn't have any stakes because he had like written all of this stuff, so it wasn't real people. Like the Cult of the Word, murder, like the doing the whole play in the hotel, like it was all just an invention of his. So it wasn't real. Versus in Saga's world, the stakes were all real. I think that was the major difference. Also, the shadows. I don't know, but it's fun to do the voice, like Alan, wake, Alan, wake. I'm drowning. And I think I realized this after I played, but I think, and you're probably going to be like, you idiot. Because I never knew what he was talking about when he did the circle with the question marks on the map, but those are probably, what are they called? Word things? Power of word, the power words. And I just didn't realize that when I was playing. But I really did not find many power words. But even then, there was I didn't see in the power of gun anything that would upgrade your gun to have more ammo. That's really what I needed. I needed there to be more than 6 bullets in his revolver, more than 2 bullets in his shotgun. But yeah, I ended up finding way more of Saga's stuff. I found almost all the lunch boxes because I was more apt to explore, because I wasn't getting. It was a lot easier to get confused in the Alan Wake sections. It was a lot easier to just kind of wander and not know where you're going. But in the Saga sections, I mean, the areas were so big, you weren't going through like maze-like alleyways, so you really could get back to the main path pretty easily. So I enjoyed that. But like I said earlier, there was a couple places that I didn't end up exploring because I thought the game was going to take me back there later. Like after the Valhalla nursing home, that gate you could open with the bolt cutters. And so I did, and I went through, but I thought I was going the wrong way because I'm that kind of guy. Like, I'll go the wrong way first just to see. And I assumed the whole time that my car was back at the Valhalla nursing home, and I was doing something early. So I went through, and then eventually I was like, I'll go back to my car, and I went back, but the car wasn't there. It turned out the car was still at the sheriff's station. And then I didn't realize that I think that I could have just used the screwdriver. Because I thought it was funny. I mean, it's in all of these games, you know, you're like, just shoot the lock. You know, just shoot it. I think it'll unlock. You know, there were so many locks, and I was like, why can't I just use the screwdriver on all the locks? And then it turns out you could actually use the screwdriver on a lot of them. So kudos to Remedy Entertainment and Sam Lake, who I just discovered is American. That was something I discovered because I'm pretty active on the Alan Wake Reddit. And I didn't realize Remedy Entertainment was a Finnish development studio. I didn't realize that all the actors are Finnish. I mean, you can sort of tell because in all their commercials, they have a light Finnish accent, which I'm not sure if that was on purpose or it was just that they couldn't do an American accent 100% of the way. That kind of took me out of it a little bit, but it could also be that Bright Falls is just a place where Finnish people go in America. You know, it could be either way. But yeah, I didn't realize, I had no idea that Sam Lake was Finnish. Like, he seemed so American to me. I guess because I assumed that was his voice, because his voice actor. But now that I know, now I'm like, oh yeah, they're all super Finnish. But yeah, I like that they brought in the janitor. I did play Control. I didn't like Control as much. And honestly, I mentioned this in a review a little bit. Like, part of what I didn't like about Control was that I loved the graphics and the style, but it was less Resident Evil and more like action game. You know, the camera was more pulled out because it was more about like killing a lot of enemies quickly instead of a Resident Evil type thing. So I was so happy that Alan Wake 2 was exactly that. It was Control, except more Resident Evil style. Except obviously the story and characters are so much more elevated in Alan Wake than they were in Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2, I mean, is cool and I like it and I like the characters, but it's pretty basic, right? The storyline kind of takes a backseat to the action, which I do like more. And I think one of the reasons I do like Resident Evil 2 better, combat-wise, is just because you have more strategy. Like, you see a zombie, right? And the zombies are slow. I mean, some are fast, but you also have lickers and things that, like, jump at you. And the lickers can't see, but they can hear. So, yeah, it's a good, like, a combination with the zombies. Makes for a lot of tension. But with the zombies, yes, they're also bullet sponges, but you can shoot them over and over in the head, or you can shoot them in the leg a couple times until they collapse, and then they can't move as fast, and you shoot them in the head. So you kind of have like more of a strategy you can take. But in this one, right, like the strategy was, I guess, hit them with the flashlight, then shoot them in the little light section, which never seemed to work for me. And I'm a headshot guy, so I did do a lot of headshots, and the headshots really seemed to do very little. And it was kind of annoying to have to unload an entire clip into one taken, you know. So yeah, I enjoyed it more in Resident Evil 2. And in Silent Hill games, even though it's clunky, like it never felt unfair, you know. I never minded the combat in Silent Hill 2 or 3. Although in my most recent playthrough of Silent Hill 2, I played it on normal and discovered that normal is so easy. It's so easy. You just, the nurse is coming at you, you have your pipe, you go, dead. You just run up to them and hit them 5 times, and they never hit you back. Silent Hill 3, though, hard combat. Definitely some hard combat in Silent Hill 3. Love those games. You know, I don't know why they're remaking Silent Hill 2 and not Silent Hill 1. I can still play Silent Hill 2. And actually, there's a video on my channel about how to play Silent Hill 2, the enhanced edition with 4K graphics, updated like maps and memos and all that kind of stuff. They totally up-res them in a fantastic way. I don't know how they did it, but it's fantastic. But yeah, Silent Hill 2 doesn't need an update. Silent Hill 1 needs an update. You cannot play that shit today. Silent Hill 1 is so PS1-y. PS2 games need a remake much, much less than PlayStation 1 games. Way less. PlayStation 1 games, it's like looking at an N64 game. You're just like, damn, I can't believe we played this. Coffee World was by far my favorite environment. It was spooky. There weren't too many enemies. That well was really cool. That whole section was just dripping with atmosphere in a way that the Alan Wake sections weren't, because it's like the Coffee World section just was spooky, and the Alan Wake sections were like, look how scary this is, you know. And I'm like a little bit like, you know. But yeah, Coffee World was really fun, and I saw that there was a lot of glitches in Coffee World, but luckily by the time I played, they were resolved, so I didn't have any soft locks in that section. But yeah, I enjoyed the puzzles. They were pretty much figure outable. There was only one puzzle I had to look up, other than some of the math puzzles. The one in the security office at the nursing home. I didn't realize that there's 3 pieces of evidence, and there's the calendar, there's the note, and then there's the letter in the filing cabinet. I didn't realize the letter in the filing cabinet was an important part of the solution. So I was going back and forth between the calendar and the note on the counter, and I was just like, I was so stuck. And then I looked it up, and I saw, crap, I should have looked at that thing, and then I knew it was the date, and you had to change it to European style, and then I got it. So, but I really like that area too. I love, obviously I love photorealistic graphics, especially for real locations, and that was, and they had a lot of real locations in this game. A lot of games that I really love that have photorealistic graphics are like post-apocalyptic. So I appreciate when you're going through an actual house, an actual movie theater that actually looks real. And this had a lot of really great variations, especially in the Alan Wake section when they would change between the murder site plot lines, like all those red fluorescent lights were really fun. It's on a cliffhanger, and it turns out Alice is actually alive, and Alan, I think, is also alive. I forget if it looked like he was alive at the end or not. Does it? Let's see. In a post-credit scene, a recording left behind by Alice reveals she had managed to fully regain her memories of what happened to Alan. She had tricked Alan to think she committed suicide by choosing to return to the dark place as part of the plan to help him eventually escape. Explaining she can only do it through ascension. Seemingly killing him in Scratch. Yeah, so he might be dead, but I think it was a little foreshadowing when the Finnish director guy like wiped the bullet off. I think that's probably what's going to happen. Because you can't kill Alan Wake. It's his damn game. But at the same time, I liked the Saga sections more than I liked the Alan Wake sections. But I think it had a little bit to do with, again, going into Reddit kind of showed me this a little bit, because I never played the original Alan Wake, so I wasn't as invested in him as a character. And I think a lot of people who liked the Alan Wake sections more were already invested in him as a character, so they really liked that part better. Okay, well, this has been Spoiler Discussion. Thanks for chilling with me for a little bit, and if you haven't watched the review, I got the review up with clips and all this kind of stuff. And I got a lot more videos on my channel about survival horror, about gaming, about tech. And I would appreciate it if you check them out. All right. I'll see you next time.
Some say that it moves forever, that I lose you on every time. Some say